Now that Yuji has two techniques, he has blood manipulation and soul manipulation, on top of the fact that he's got insane reverse curse technique, it's no longer a matter of is Yuji special grade, but actually a question of has he completely surpassed the concept of special grade. And that is what we'll be talking about today. All of his feats, with his current fight with Ryomen Sukuna in his Heian form, we'll be breaking it all down from speed, strength, durability, all of his hacks, techniques, and also comparing him to other special grade combatants to see just where he lies. So be sure to leave a like, it helps out a ton, thank you. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content just like this. Less than 10% of people who actually watch my videos are subscribed. So trust me, if you love JJK, I assure you, you will not regret subscribing. And of course, thank you to the special members of the channel. It is always much appreciated. Let's get right into this video. So the first thing I'm going to do is break down all of Yuji's stats. So speed, strength, durability, attack power, all of his hacks that he has, and any other unique quirks that he may have that are useful in combat. The first thing I want to talk about actually is his reinforcement and output. His reinforcement and output is without question at a special grade level right now. The feats I'll talk about soon, but what's more so important is Sukuna's own wordings. Not once, but rather twice, Sukuna has actually been very impressed by Yuji's own reinforcement and output. I think it was a total of 3 times where he's made a comment on it, and even recently in the new chapters when he's seeing, damn, how are Yuta and Yuji so powerful? He's thinking, yeah, their reinforcement is just on a completely different tier compared to how it was before. So we know that Yuji got a huge buff after Sukuna left his body. Whatever that buff was, we still don't know, as Sukuna actually comments, oh, this brat is from that time, implying he's from the Heian era, you know, whether he's a reincarnation, incarnation, or Kenjaku experiment. Why ever Sukuna made that comment, we still don't know, and hopefully we get to find out soon, but clearly that gave him a huge boost, whatever that power-up was. And of course, he's had a whole month to train with some of the strongest sorcerers in all of history, and also the best teachers in the entire JJK world. Add on to the fact that he's training to fight Ryomen Sukuna, the strongest sorcerer in history. It's not really a surprise why he's become this powerful. I've made a whole video discussing this before we even got to see any of the characters fight, where I predicted that yes, everyone has gone exponentially stronger, and the fact that Yuta actually says we cheated, you know, there's a lot of theories going around. So what does he mean by we cheated? People actually theorizing that they use the Kappa's sumo simple domain, where time actually goes at a different pace, whereas something along the lines of 1 minute inside of that simple domain is like 1,000 sumo matches, and if you actually do the time, it really is like a hyperbolic time chamber where you could spend hours inside of there and only 1 minute has passed on the outside world. So it's actually possible they could have gotten years worth of training within that month, and that's what Yuta means by we cheated, because Yuta's a pretty honest guy, so he must have said that for a reason. So at the absolute bare minimum, Yuji's output and reinforcement right now is amongst the absolute highest tiers, I would even argue, of the Heian era. Yes, I know Sukuna's nerfed, he's very nerfed, and Yuji was actually nerfing him even more, but to actually go up against true form Sukuna like this, even if he has an output nerf, that is still incredibly impressive, and it does speak volumes to Yuji's current power level. Now what about his actual strength? We've seen that he is actually able to damage Sukuna. Now granted, a lot of the damage that he was doing in this recent chapter was actually after he continually nerfed Sukuna with his hacks abilities, which we'll discuss later on. But yeah, we see him hitting Sukuna with a manji kick, we see him actually kneeing Sukuna in the face, and actually hit so badly that Sukuna's face was a bloody mess. In terms of speed, he was actually relative to Maki when he first got his power up during that whole Maki and Yuji versus Sukuna clash. I am not saying he was as fast or as strong as Maki, I'm just saying he was actually relative to her max power, meaning the gap isn't so big that he can't keep up. At the very least, he was able to somewhat keep up, though clearly Maki was actually performing a lot better than Yuji in that 2v1. But remember, this was before he got that month of incredible training, whatever the training was, so he must be far faster and stronger than he was at that time, as again, Sukuna has also commented that Yuji is not even comparable to how strong he was from the last time he had seen him. So if you really think about it, he already had speed that I assure you would blitz any grade 1 sorcerer, with the only exceptions probably being Naoya and Naobito, since they have very unique hacks that don't let them get blitzed if you don't know how their techniques work. But we saw that Maki, when she was actually fighting the Zenin clan, and this was actually a nerfed Maki, was blitzing and one-shotting them like it was a joke. They couldn't even keep up with his speed, and Yuji was relative to this Maki. And again, this was before he actually got his month of training, whatever this godlike training was. Point being, Yuji is ridiculously fast. And what about his durability? We've seen that even an amped Choso, who's way stronger after this month of training, got instantly pierced by both of Sukuna's hands like it was a joke, whereas Yuji, and do remember this was before he actually hit Sukuna with the soul attacks and nerfed his output, was actually able to tank those Sukuna punches. I'm not saying, you know, he came out unscathed, it definitely did some damage, but he could tank it, and it's not like he gets knocked out or insta-killed from them like many sorcerers would. This isn't even including the fact that yes, he can actually tank dismantles, not cleaves as we've seen. Cleaves he definitely can't, they cut all the way through and instantly rip his stomach apart, but dismantles he can tank them. Again, Sukuna's output is nerfed, but still it is very impressive, as these nerfed dismantles were able to instantly rip apart Higuruma's limbs without effort. And mind you, I'm not talking about the world cutting slashes which he hits on Higuruma, I'm talking about the slashes that he actually hits after those. And of course, the actual hacks that Yuji Yuji has. He has insane reverse curse technique. I mean, first of all, his actual cursed energy, the amount that he actually has in his body must be incredible considering the fact that he has been spamming reverse curse technique this whole fight, and it doesn't even seem like he's bottoming out yet. We've seen that when Yuta was spamming reverse curse technique during Sendai, it did seem like there came a point where he's eventually going to bottom out, and like I said, Yuji's been spamming it not just for minor wounds, he's been spamming it for his internal organs and entire stomachs being ripped apart, and he's still fighting. He's still got cursed energy left, so his actual capacity has increased greatly. His actual reverse curse technique seems to be very fast and very powerful too, so it's not like he's a mediocre reverse curse technique user. He seems very experienced with it, and of course he has two specific abilities. He has the soul manipulation ability where whenever he punches someone, it actually shakes their soul and affects it. Mind you, this is something that should actually be effective for any opponent he faces. Yes, it is more effective when you're actually facing someone who's incarnated, so you can actually lower the output because you're giving the person who's inside of the body back the control to actually fight back. However, even if you're actually fighting a regular sorcerer and you punch them and it affects their soul, it's basically like being hit by an unblockable attack. Even if you actually guard the attack, it's still going to hit your soul and do major damage that way. It's not something you can protect yourself against. I mean, if Sukuna can't actually defend his soul from this attack, I really doubt any other sorcerer could. I mean, Naname did state that he subconsciously defended his soul from a Mahito attack, but we've actually seen that once Mahito got to a certain level, even Naname wasn't able to defend his soul, and it was basically just an instant kill for any sorcerer, even if they were aware that the person's attacking their soul. And again, if Heian or Sukuna is not able to defend their own souls, no other sorcerer will be able to do that if Yuji actually hits them and attacks their soul directly. This is beside the fact that it's still unclear on if reverse curse technique can actually even heal the soul. It's a very heated debate in the fanbase, and the answer is unclear, but if it really is true that reverse curse technique can't heal specific or certain soul damage, then that means even if you have reverse curse technique, Yuji can actually still basically beat your ass and you'll have no way to actually heal this unblockable damage that can't be healed. And of course, he also has blood manipulation, which we see him use in the current chapter where he spits his own blood on Sukuna's face in a pretty cool panel, and then later on he actually controls that blood and makes it explode. Now, whatever level Yuji's at with blood manipulation, we still don't know because it's really odd how he hasn't been using it and only finally used it to explode the blood on Sukuna's face. Some people are arguing that the person who used a piercing blood off screen wasn't Choso and that was actually Yuji, which also could be a possibility. What I'm also curious about is why has he not been using it more during this battle? If he does have blood manipulation, why has he not been spamming it, using all these lethal techniques on Sukuna, and he's just been going hand to hand? The only answer I can think of is for this plan, he needs to hit Sukuna with actual punches and kicks because that's how he's going to shake his soul. So even if Yuji has some insane blood manipulation, he can fire piercing bloods, or he's just as good as Choso with blood manipulation, he can't actually use those abilities because right now the plan is for him to make direct contact with Sukuna's soul, and that's by actually hitting him with physical attacks. So maybe that's why Yuji hasn't been using blood manipulation that much, and maybe soon we'll get to see him use more blood manipulation and get to see just how powerful he really is with it now that we've seen the Megami plan fell through. Now, where does Yuji actually rank compared to other special grade combatants? Considering the fact that I really am certain that Yuji has some sort of simple domain, as Kusakabe probably taught him, even if he goes up against someone with a domain expansion, he does have a simple domain, and yes, a simple domain is very weak against the domain expansion, but usually that's only the case when the opponent they're facing is overwhelmingly far superior than the person they're fighting. And it's usually in terms of just actual cursed energy output or the amount of cursed energy they have. And we've established that Yuji has a tremendous supply of cursed energy, and his actual output and reinforcement is off the charts. At the absolute bare minimum, it is special grade sorcerer level, and this should apply to his simple domain's actual output too. So if he were to fight any of the disaster curses, his simple domain, the output should actually surpass even their own domains. Maybe it wouldn't last that long, but it wouldn't be something like how Kenjaku stripped Yuki's in just a couple seconds. But to be honest, Yuji's current level, he could honestly blitz and one-shot any of the disaster curses with minimal effort, and it would just be kind of a joke. That's just how far ahead of all of those characters he is right now. One thing I want to touch upon is a lot of people don't actually comprehend or understand Yuji has gotten far stronger, and the reason this is the case is because he's actually fighting Sukuna, and this is what I call the Yorozu and Jogo treatment, where many readers can't comprehend how powerful a character is because they never actually got to fight characters weaker than themselves. And this definitely applies to someone like Yorozu, who before the time skip would destroy even most of the special grade members of the cast. And of course, I mean pre-time skip, not post-time skip after they've gotten way stronger. And this is what's happening to Yuji, albeit to a lesser extent. Because he's fighting someone who's insanely powerful, you don't really understand how strong he is. But let's say we were to pit Yuji up against a couple grade 1 sorcerers from earlier on in the series. Let's say Meimei, Naname, Naobito, or even up against the Zenin clan like Maki did. He would utterly destroy them without effort in insta blitzes, and only then would readers realize, oh damn, Yuji's actually super strong. That's how strong he is right now, considering all of the feats that he has. Now, has Yuji actually surpassed the concept of special grade in and of itself? I actually believe that it's not just Yuji, but all of the big 4 students students have actually surpassed the concept of special grade. Yuta's is extremely obvious considering his feats that we saw in this chapter. Maki and Hikari would actually require whole videos in themselves, so I won't touch upon that here, but I also do believe they have also surpassed special grade, and of course, this just goes double for Yuji. 15-fingered Sukuna would instant blitz and one-shot characters such as Yuki, pre-time skip Yuta, and Geto, which is all of the special grade sorcerers that we're aware of. Of course, post-time skip Yuta, he's way stronger, so he would actually fare very well against 15-fingered Sukuna, but I assure you, if Yuji were to go up against any of these sorcerers, he would actually have some trouble, especially against the ones that have a domain expansion, but I truly do believe he would actually win those fights. But it also would depend on how good his blood manipulation is, because I'm assuming his blood manipulation is off the charts, so if it isn't, maybe I'd have to reevaluate where I place Yuji, because then of course, certain matchups such as Yuki would be a lot harder since he'd have to go full hand-to-hand, and of course that's not good against someone like Yuki who can just take your head off with a single punch. But let's say up against someone like Geto, he would utterly destroy Geto, considering a baby Yuta was able to absolutely wash Geto even if he was at 70% of his power. Yeah, Yuji's stomping the absolute crap out of this guy. And as for the actual criteria of special grade, which is being able to overthrow a nation, come on, do any of us actually need to even debate if Yuji could overthrow a nation? There's nothing you could throw at this guy probably other than a nuke that could kill him, since he has the reinforcement output to go up against someone like Sukuna, whereas even a grade 1, as we've seen several times, can actually dodge and react to bullets off guard, such as when Megumi did against the soldiers. And Yuji right now has special grade level output, he has reverse curse technique, he can damage the soul, and he's got blood manipulation. There is no army that can stop this guy. So in terms of that criteria, yes, I do believe he is special grade, and again, I actually think he's completely surpassed that concept entirely considering the level that he's at right now. The modern day special grade term doesn't apply to him anymore. But that's just in my opinion. Where do you actually scale Yuji? Do you think he's just special grade and maybe I'm overreacting and pushing the Yuji agenda too far? Let me know, because this is just my opinion. But hey, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, it helps out a ton. Thank you very much. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content just like this. Like I said in the beginning, less than 10% of people actually watch my channel are subscribed, so if you love JJK, I guarantee you will not regret subscribing. And of course, thank you to all the channel members as well. It is always much appreciated, guys. Thank you very much. But that's all from me. Have a great day and take care.